Here's the unemployment choo-choo. All right, Jeff, another edition of the unemployment choo-choo, and we've covered a lot of ground this week. What did we go over? What comes?
Well, look, we've been everywhere from North Korea to Myanmar, Burma, to Valanche.
That's right.
A lot of things have been happening, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we talked Meatloaf, Hollywood Squares, Valanche. We mentioned a little bit of Valanche, and I figured since we've been Wilson Phillips, of course, we have a big Wilson Phillips following.
Yeah. This whole thing started off at Aaron Carter following, and now we're being carried not by our humor, wit, or talent, but by Wilson Phillips.
Yeah, and so, I mean, is it safe to say that we've rounded the corner? We have officially left the Carterverse, and we have entered Wilson Phillipsville?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's a little more adult. So, I think we're heading into the adult realm. As you can hear when you listen to our podcast and stuff, you can tell that, we're growing up through this podcast. You're watching us. Like child stars on a television show. You're right.
Like, just call us David Cassidy.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Yes. We're the Olsen twins.
That's it. And we're the Olsen twins with all of their talent.
Minus the billions.
I was going to say, without the billionaire husband.
Yes.
Look, I'm glad that you brought up, because this unemployment choo-choo, I always make reference that we're traveling. First we were at unemployment station. Then we were at not working station. Then we were about to abandon ship. Then we were running out of coal. Then we found the Carterverse, and we chugged through the Carterverse, kept us going. We left the Carterverse. We entered Pirate Shantyverse. We've traveled around. I was in Gam Gam Basement Verse. And now we're in Wilson Phillipsville, and I like where we ended up.
It feels comfy. You feel like you're in a Snuggie.
You know what, though? Here's the problem with that. A lot of times, even though people feel comfortable where they're at, even though sometimes people feel like they're in a Snuggie, you know what they have trouble doing, Jeff?
What's that?
Taking a poop.
Oh, defecating. Okay.
They have trouble.
That's good. I'm glad. All right. Well, we're heading down.
We're off to the races.
Different channels here. Okay.
All right.
Continue.
So look, even though we're feeling good about where we're at, we could always use, and for the people listening, we can always give bowel health tips. And I'd like to turn it over to you for a little bit, because you, and I'll give you all the credit for this, you found this. You yearned, and it came, and now I'm just going to turn it over to you, Jeff, and then we're going to really get into different pooping cereals and, vintage 1970s cowboys. So, without a doubt, just take it away. Tell us why we're talking about pooping today.
Well, look, I saw this story, and there is a shortage of Grape Nuts. Grape Nuts cereal, very high in fiber, very much helps you go in the morning, keeps you regular. It brought me back to a time where for a long time, if you came into our apartment in Traverse City, Michigan, you would have seen a container of Metamucil sitting there. We never did the Metamucil challenge.
We didn't. And you know what's funny? I still have it. It's still sealed. So our next location, our next show, we should probably start off with the Metamucil challenge.
And we were sitting there. Why didn't we do it? By the way, why didn't we get our bowels regular?
That's a great goddamn question. I think fear. I think because of taste. I think because of haste. I think we had one bathroom, and two people can't poo at the same time.
And I think it's that fear. If you're on the Metamucil challenge, what if you say, "I want to get out of the house," and you're out of the house, and then boom, you're trapped in a situation that you don't want to be in. Well, that's our fear.
I hearken back to you say, when is the talk on?
The talk is on 2 o'clock.
NBC?
CBS. CBS.
Okay. Who took the Metamucil challenge there? Wasn't it Susie? What was her name?
What was her name? She's the comedian.
Yes.
On you know who I'm talking about, right? Hold on. Let me pull it up. I can't. Her name's
Cheryl
Underwood.
Cheryl Underwood.
So when you think of somebody's bowels and them in the bathroom, obviously Metamucil thought, hey, Cheryl Underwood, let's think about her.
Well, you know what, though?
Ripping a log.
Well, see, here's the other thing. I think we also didn't take the Metamucil challenge because we thought, why do this alone? Why are we the only two that have trouble staying regular? Everyone else seems regular.
See, but when you look at that show, wouldn't you think that Sharon Osbourne would have been the perfect one to get regular on the Metamucil challenge? I look at Cheryl Underwood, and I think that on a regular basis, she's pinching a loaf.
Now, see, I see Cheryl as a loaf pincher. You're right, but you know what? No, I think the chick from Roseanne has the most blockage.
Sarah Gilbert?
She's always had something up her ass.
Well, I wouldn't say that about Sarah Gilbert.
Well, she's always been a little grumpy. She's always seemed like she's just, you know how like when you go and then you're like, you half go, but you can't go the rest, and then you're kind of like, oh, God, I wish I could have just went the whole time.
Right.
I think that's her.
Okay.
And
Marie Osmond was on the show. I don't see her,
No, Donnie.
I don't see her having any issues.
No, Donnie keeps that clean and flowing.
Okay, well, that would be her brother. So that's,
Oh, well, listen, love comes in all kinds of forms, man.
Hey, whatever. Hey, however it works for you, right? Okay.
So listen, but see, we always thought, A, Metamucil's like $40. B, why are we the only ones? And then you read about this grape nut shortage, and you realize, Jeff, that if this pandemic has done nothing else but it's brought the people who cannot go to the bathroom regularly together. And there's yogurts like Activia, but nothing like grape nuts, Jeff.
Yeah. I don't believe in the yogurt. I don't think the yogurt does it. I think grape nuts in its form will get the job done, and that's the reason behind there's a shortage. And they said they can't keep up with the demand for the grape nuts. And so this everybody's at home,
Well, for everybody listening, when you go to the store, make an honest effort, yearn to find a box of grape nuts. Bet you can't find them.
I bet you if you did find them, you could sell them on Amazon for more than what you bought them for at this point because of the shortage. That's
true. And it makes you think, why are people just sticking to the grape nuts? Why aren't they going Activia? Why aren't they going Metamucil? And I think it harkens back to, honestly, Jeff, I think the grape nuts have become synonymous with shitting your britches, I think all the way back to the 60s. And I think it's embedded in our cultural consciousness that when you can't go, grape nuts help you flow.
Yeah. Grape nuts really help you leak there, huh?
They do. Yeah. And do you know how it started?
No.
Well, I'll tell you. It started with a man by the name of Yule Givens. You familiar with Yule Givens?
I don't know anything about Yule.
Okay.
No.
A little bit about Yule. He's an old-ass man. He was old in, like, the 60s. Okay. He wrote a book called Stalking the Good Life. He was pretty much known for his outdoorsy adventures.
Okay.
And Grape Nuts said, what better mascot for our cereal than an old man who has trouble pooping but has the credibility to convince people that pooping is not a problem?
So we get the old man who wipes his ass with an oak leaf.
Yes. With it, you know what, though?
Who still has an outhouse.
Oh, he totally has an outhouse. And by the way, if you would like to see Yule Givens, just Google Yule, Euell, Gibbons, and if you're listening, you will see what we're talking about. I do want to tell you, though, and I guess we could go in on a tangent. I'm going to play this first, but you mentioned how Yule wiped his hiney with, what'd you say, an oak leaf?
Oak, yes.
I had an unfortunate incident where I was at Camp Newman, and I went to the bathroom outside, and I did a wipe, and unfortunately, I did it with poison ivy.
Ooh, poison ivy in the hiney, huh?
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. We'll get into that, but let's turn it over to Yule. What do you say?
Yule, it's all yours.
I'm Yule Gibbons. Many consider me an expert on natural foods like cattails. Yes, they're edible. I look for natural ingredients in my food. That's why Grape Nuts is part of my breakfast. This is a wholesome cereal made from wheat and barley. These natural ingredients are baked into crunchy nuggets and fortified with 8 essential vitamins. Its naturally sweet taste reminds me of wild hickory nuts.
Well, there you go. Wild hickory nuts. It's Yule's back to nature cereal. And I don't know if... See, I thought Grape Nuts, call me crazy, I thought Grape Nuts were more like a Raisin Bran. But Grape Nuts are literally just like little shards of crap.
The Hickory Nut have multi-chambered inner nutshells like a walnut.
I do like a walnut.
And they have, they're really packed with a lot of what they call nut meat.
Nut meat? Please explain.
Yeah. They're heavy in nut meat, and it packs a whopping 193 calories. Most of that comes from fat, though. So the hickory nut it's a lot of nut meat.
I want to take a look at some nut meat here. Let's see. Nut meat. What is nut meat? Let's see. I've never heard this term. Nut meat is the part of the nut that people eat. An example of nut meat is shredded coconut. An example of other nut meats are chopped pecans or whole walnuts. The kernel of a nut, especially if edible, is nut meat. So is it?
We are learning new things these days.
Well, here's the thing. There's a company called Loma Linda,
Right.
And she makes just nut meat. Just canned nut meat. And the only reason I know about this is because in his latter years, our friend Yule stopped slinging grape nuts and started slinging Loma Linda's nut meat.
So her bread and butter is just nut meat all around.
Just nut meat. Just nut meat. And, you know, like I said, Yule loved eating the nut meat. All right, and so my question is the nut meat what keeps you regular?
The nut meat seems to be fatty, so I'm not sure it is. I think it's the fiber within it, but I would assume the more nut meat that you put in your mouth, the better off that you'll be.
But see, now here's the thing. Is it the nut meat, or is it like when you pour the white milky liquid on the nut meat, is that what makes it, you know, better for you? Because I got to tell you, without the white, creamy, milky substance on my grape nuts, nut meat or not, I'm not in.
Well, think about if you just doubled up your nut meat. If you were just had so much nut meat you didn't know what to do with it, you went almond milk. On top of your grape nuts.
So what you're saying is I would have milkified nut meat on my nut meat, so I had a double nut meat.
There would be so much nut meat going down your throat.
Down that gullet.
That you wouldn't even know what day it was.
Wow. You know what? You're right. I have never thought about this way, but you know what, dude? I could definitely down some nut meat. I mean, I'm in on it. I don't think it's the size or the amount either. I think it's just the quality of the nut meat. Do you agree? Or do you think it's about how much or how big the nut is? I don't think it's about that.
Look, I think what your goal would be is to find the nut meat that you like. You have to really try different kinds of nut meat. So you just have to really spend your time getting all the nut meat in your mouth that you possibly can. And, when you find the one you like, you consume it.
Well, here's the thing.
You stick with it.
Here's the thing. So, let's think of it. What's the cheapest steak you can get? Was it London broil? What's like a cheap steak?
No, London broil can be, a little, maybe just like a cheap spank.
Okay. Oh, by the way, just so you know, the person that is trying to call me now is somebody who I used to go to high school with, and he's literally been calling me nonstop, and I don't know why.
Does he? Oh, okay. Maybe he wants to kick it.
Well, no, I think that he met me. I think he's thinking about nut meat. I think he listens to the podcast. I think he's thinking if I could have the Deve, some nut meat, some grape nuts, a little bit of Yule, I could be pooping like a champion.
I'll tell you what. Sounds like a Friday night to me.
Hey, goddamn right it does. All right. So there's that. Why does this fucking kid keep calling me, dude? Like, it's just so weird. All right, hold on. Now, Jeff, we're back here. We were talking nut meat. We were talking grape nuts because you said there's a grape nut shortage, correct?
there is a grape nut shortage, I guess, while people are locked down or quarantining or whatever. This